The MPS, TfL and I are committed to ensuring victims get the support they deserve, and the Met Police Service does vital work conducting collision investigations to help provide justice for victims, as well as making an important contribution to keeping roads safe through its traffic enforcement activity. The Met Police Service has recently begun to offer new training to officers who may attend the scene of a collision as either a first responder or in some other capacity. The training considers the collision holistically, from initial actions, scene preservation and ongoing scene management through to investigation and forensics. To support victims of the most serious road collisions in London, and as part of my Vision Zero action plan, TfL and MOPAC have co-funded a victims pilot service that launched in November 2023. The service provides direct referrals from the police into support services, where previously victims had to initiate contact proactively. This helps to ensure victims understand the support services that are available to them and guides them through the process so they don't feel alone at what is already a very traumatic time. To date, over 180 people have been referred into the service. The pilot's now been extended by 12 months to November 2025. The pilot's complemented by the Sarah Hope line, which continues to be a resource for people affected by incidents on TfL services. The pilot will continue to provide a compassionate listening ear and comprehensive help and support for those who need it. And TfL has also determined that long-term support provision should be put in place following the end of that pilot programme. The procurement process for a permanent support service is currently underway. My Vision Zero action plan will also be refreshed this year, emphasising my commitment to reducing road danger. The action plan will set out the Met Police Service ongoing contribution and its priorities for tackling road danger, as well as setting the direction for TfL's ongoing work on road danger reduction. We've reiterated the importance of the post-collision response in the draft new Police and Crime Plan, and will continue to monitor this work, overseeing and supporting TfL and the Met Police Service that seek to prevent all forms of harm on the roads, from collisions to speeding.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I've received a lot, or the Police and Crime Committee has received a lot of responses to the report we did on serious collision investigation. I'm going to write to you with a detailed response on those responses, which raise a lot more questions. But at People's Question Time a couple of weeks ago, we heard from Abby, who explained being bereaved after her fiancé was killed on a pedestrian crossing near her home. And she described the response she had from TfL, which was, she said, she felt as if she was going through a tragedy, but no one was treating it as a tragedy. And she said that TfL didn't answer her questions. They didn't seem to have any kind of empathy with the letter that they sent out. So you've got your pilot, you've got all these good things that you're doing, and I absolutely get that this is really complex work, but actually things are going wrong and people are not getting the support that they need. So what are you going to do to try and systemically ensure that no more bereaved families, Londoners, experience what Abby experienced when her fiancé was killed on that crossing?
Firstly, the fact that you had already met Abby shows your commitment to this, and thank you for the tireless work you've done in this area. And I'm sure you're aware that there are further meetings organised with Abby. I think what the core of this is TfL being committed to openness, because actually one of Abby's concerns is one we hear all the time about sort of TfL the sort of shuts coming down. And I think there should be a commitment to openness. And so we're working on a protocol. TfL are consulting with families in relation to how we can make this commitment meaningful to families, how they would have benefited from this commitment to openness. We've got to change the way TfL operates, so it's human beings answering and responding as human beings to other human beings.
I absolutely agree with that, but it's also about the Met. Abby described to me earlier this week the struggle she had to get hold of a family liaison officer, partly because she and her partner were living together. They were due to get married, but they were not married, and so the family liaison officer was working with her fiancé's family. But the family liaison officer got moved to another project, kept not answering her inquiries, and eventually she found out from a serious collision investigator that the family liaison officer was no longer working on the project. She then found herself acting as family liaison officer to her fiancé's family, in negotiation with the serious collision investigation team. There's been a catalogue of failures. It's not just what went wrong with TfL in this case. And what I'm worried about is Abby was brave. She came to PQT. She told you her story. But there must be other bereaved families who are also struggling to get through the process. So will you ask the Met to investigate the handling of Abby's case and get the Victims Commissioner involved?
The last bit first, the Victims Commissioner is involved in relation to Abby's case. And I don't really want to talk publicly about Abby's case. It's not fair on Abby, who's not given me permission to do so. So if you park for a second Abby's case and just to reassure you that the Victims Commissioner is involved in that as well. There are two separate issues. One, that there has been, in the recent past, issues with the Met Police Service's Serious Collision Investigations Unit. That's been resolved, been addressed by the Commissioner. There has been historically big issues with family liaison officers. There have been reports done, in fact, about, in the past, poor quality service received. There have also been cases recently where, FLO is speaking to partner and the deceased family also has an FLO and the challenges the family dynamic has. As part of the work the Victims Commissioner is doing in relation to Abby's case, and I can ask to look into what happened in this case, but I can remind the Commissioner about the importance of FLOs to understand the sensitivities in the family dynamic and make sure...
That's absolutely critical. I'm totally out of time, but I'm going to write to you with a lot more detail. Thank you.